Ladies and gentlemen, we are nearing the halfway point of the NBA season. In the Western Conference, it's clear that it's the most balanced conference in the NBA. You have teams slated 1 through 12 that could all make a playoff run. The Warriors sitting at 12th, the Los Angeles Lakers and Phoenix Suns currently both slated in the play-in. And then you have the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder, the two surprise teams that are currently on top of the Western Conference. Then when you look at the outlook of the Eastern Conference, it's very top heavy. You have the Boston Celtics with the best record in the NBA. You have the Milwaukee Bucks, who of course acquired Damian Lillard this offseason and have been working through some rough patches defensively and working out the kinks with Damian Lillard on the offensive side of the ball. But the true above and beyond favorite to win the NBA title this year is the Boston Celtics, and it's incredible what they've been doing. This team is unstoppable when they're at home. They are franchise best 20-0 when they play in TD Garden. This team has been flat out incredible. With Boston, we've seen this trend the last few years where they have great regular seasons, they put themselves in position to make a deep playoff run, and they disappoint in the postseason. Right now, we're at the part of the season where everybody knows how great this team is, the expectations are there, and it's time for them to perform, and the pressure's on big time. You look at last year when they were in the postseason, they never really dominated any true series. They gave up 2 games against the Atlanta Hawks. They went down 3-2 to the 76ers, and it looked like they were going to get bounced in the second round. They were able to pull that off in 7 games. Tatum dropped his 50 ball, and then they went down 0-3 in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Miami Heat. Were just simply unable to dig themselves out of that 0-3 hole and lost in Game 7 in the Garden. And the year before that, choked in the finals. Jayson Tatum, Jayson Brown, nowhere to be found. And it's been a reoccurring theme with these superstars the past few years to not show up. Let's not forget that Jayson Tatum's 25 years old. He is the best player on the best team in the NBA. He's having a fantastic season rebounding the ball, scoring the ball. He's way more efficient than he was last year. And he's developed as a playmaker every single year that he's been in the NBA. Now, Jayson Brown, a guy that most thought didn't deserve the Supermax contract extension after his disappearance from the playoffs last year, and it was definitely crucial that the Celtics re-signed him this offseason. But the reason I think this duo is underrated right now is because their numbers are down. Tatum last year averaged over 30 points per game. This year, he's averaging only 27.1. Jayson Brown last year averaged 26.6 points. This year, he's only averaging 23.3. Like I mentioned, both of these guys are playing a lot more efficient basketball. You look at the dynamic of when they added Jrue Holiday, when they added Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White given a bigger role offensively. These superstars couldn't be so demanding and selfish with the ball like you could say we've seen in the years past. Now the Celtics are playing a lot better team basketball, and you can see how it's translating to wins. Kristaps Porzingis has been unbelievable when he's been starting this year, putting up 19 points a game, has been extremely efficient as well, and he's given the Celtics a great rim protector they haven't had necessarily in the past few seasons, and he can also space the floor out phenomenally as well. Now, we've seen the Celtics lineup in the past with Al Horford be able to stretch the floor when he can pick and pop at the 3-point line, but now with this different lineup, a little bit smaller with Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, White, and Jrue Holiday, we're able to see Jrue Holiday take full command of the point guard position, which a lot of people could say the Celtics didn't have with Marcus Smart. Derek White, one of the most underrated players in the NBA, originally didn't start with the Celtics when he made his transition over to this team, but he's putting up nearly 16 points a game, extremely efficient player, great on the defensive side of the ball, and I really feel like that's how the Celtics are the most dangerous. They can go out there on any given night. One of the starters, 1 through 5, can go out there and easily drop 30 points, and yet they can spread the floor, they can drive the basketball, they can shoot the 3, they can do so many different things to beat you on the offensive side of the ball. But then when you look at this team on the defensive side of the ball, they're also smothering. They have the 2nd best defensive rating in the NBA. They have the 3rd best defensive efficiency in the league, and they're giving up the 4th fewest points per game. It's encouraging, and I like to preface this when I talk about Jayson Tatum and Jayson Brown. But looking at these two, they are both so phenomenal on the offensive side of the ball. Everybody knows that. But when you look at what these two do on the defensive side of the ball, they are elite defenders. They have no problem picking up a team's best player. Look at last year in the 76ers series when James Harden was going off against the Celtics. Jayson Brown said, I want to pick him up full court. He's not scoring anymore. They were able to shut him down, make that adjustment, and they ultimately ended up winning this series. Same thing goes with Jayson Tatum. So many times throughout his career, if he's struggling on the offensive side of the ball, he'll take over and have a greater role on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I think another huge difference for the Celtics this season is how they're playing at home. And I mentioned this at the beginning of this segment. The Celtics in years prior have never really taken advantage of this home home crowd. We've never seen them play to their full potential in the Garden like we've seen them do now. So many times last year, they lost 3 games in the Garden last year against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's absolutely unacceptable. The year before that as well, in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Miami Heat, they also lost 3 games in the Garden. I think if the Boston Celtics can take full advantage of when they play at home, which most likely in the playoffs, they're going to have the #1 overall seed in the entire NBA. So that means in the first round, second round, Eastern Conference Finals, and potentially the NBA Finals, the Celtics will have home court advantage. When you look at this Celtics team and how well they've been playing throughout this regular season, it's hard to find a spot where they are really beatable at. They're so great at home. They're so great shooting the 3 ball. They're so great defensively. It seems like the chemistry is really developed on this team. But I think if I was concerned in one spot for the Boston Celtics, it would be with their drive and kick rate. Last year, we saw them get super stagnant at times and take way too many 3-pointers. When the Celtics would hit their 3-point shots, they were the most unbeatable team in the NBA. But you'd also see them have nights where the 3-point shot wasn't falling and they'd get blown out. This year, their assist percentage is the 6th worst in the NBA. Now, that is a little bit concerning, meaning we're not seeing as many drive and kicks from guys that are very capable of doing so. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, 2 of the best one-on-one players in the NBA, are very capable of beating guys off the dribble. With Kristaps Porzingis, putting him in pick-and-roll situations where he's popping to the 3-point line or where he's driving to the rim and you have guys collapsing around him. The Celtics can utilize these pieces a lot more and become even more deadly in my opinion. But I don't think I'm as worried because this year compared to last year, it seems like they're a lot better on the defensive side of the ball, and they also trust each other a lot more. So if Tatum's having a bad night or if Jaylen Brown's having a bad night, they're not scared to give the ball up to Porzingis or to Derek White to absolutely go off and eat as well. It's very rare that all 5 of these guys have a terrible night at the exact same time. When this starting 5 is healthy, they have the best record in the NBA and they're absolutely unbeatable. When you look at the trajectory heading into the postseason, I believe the only team that can beat the Celtics is the Boston Celtics. With the Eastern Conference being so top heavy with the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, it really feels like we're going to see an eventual Eastern Conference Finals of the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. And I haven't been impressed with what I've seen with Milwaukee so far. So far, the Celtics' strength of schedule has been the 2nd hardest in the NBA, and they currently have the best record. The Bucks' strength of schedule has been the 2nd easiest, and they're 26-12, so currently 4 games behind the Boston Celtics. But still, their schedule is going to heat up a lot. They're going to play a lot more tough teams, and we've seen them be exposed on the defensive side of the ball. The Pacers have blown them out multiple times when they've played this year. Teams that click on the offensive side of the ball can really do damage to this Bucks team. I think Boston right now is currently headed on a collision course to face either the Los Angeles Clippers or the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals. And if Boston can stay hot and continue to get more cohesive as a unit as the season progresses, nobody's going to be able to beat them in the entire NBA. The Boston Celtics should have no problem winning the NBA title this year. They are the above and beyond favorite for a reason. The Boston Celtics will win the 2024 NBA title. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.